Hi everyone, welcome back. This evening, it's getting towards evening, and I'm jumping on to show you how to make what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, which is stuffed pork chops. And I like to use this recipe every now and then because I don't like just a fried pork chops. So why don't you pull up a chair and have yourself a cup of coffee, tea, have a Coke, I don't care, and watch me make this simple recipe. I'm going to have it with some seasoned corn on the cob, and I'll show you how I do that too. Just a simple little dinner tonight. Set your oven right now for 350 degrees. We'll start there. And I went to the store and I've already taken out, they came in a package of 4 of these thick pork chops. And you will see them in the grocery store when you go over to the pork area, that you get you some nice thick ones. They'll have the thing that says thick cut on it, and that's what you want. Thick pork chops. So I'll start with the pork chops and get you a good sharp knife. These particular pork chops have a lot of fat just right here that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that off because I don't need that on there. So we'll just cut that off of there. Get rid of it. And the reason why I want you to have a nice, good, sharp knife is you've got to cut right down the middle of this pork chop. And you need a good knife. So the thick part of the meat right here is what you're going to slice all the way to the bone. So I'll get that started with mine. Just kind of help it along, but you get it all the way down to the bone. Because that's where we're going to stuff some goodies in there. Stuff some goodies. So it should open up and look like this now. Just a big, nice pocket of it. And yes, I always wash my pork. It's kind of like my chicken. I wash it to just make sure everything's okay from it being in that package. Again, just kind of chop off the fatty part under there. Come along, don't cut yourself. Come on. And chop or cut it all the way to the bone. All the way. Making a nice little pocket in there of your meat. Okay, now that's the first little step of that. Let me grab some paper towels here and dry my hands off of that. And you can go ahead and just kind of pat dry the meat. Just kind of set it aside until we get ready for it. And I'm not ready for it yet. Take 1 celery stalk, cut it right down the middle, and cut it again. And this you're going to take and finely chop up, as fine as you like, or if you like them a little bit bigger, that's okay too. But you need to have it where it is going to fit. Oh, my nose keeps itching today. It's just one of those days. Beautiful day all day. Today's been a gorgeous day. But I just decided, you know, I wanted, if you want to call this a comfort food, you certainly could, because there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not putting this out on the grill to cook. You could on this, but I am going to do this in my oven tonight because I'm also doing my corn on the cob in the oven tonight. So I wanted to have both. Now this particular recipe, once I give you the ingredients, are for more than 2 pork chops. It's usually for either 4 or 6 pork chops, but because I only had the 2 to work with right now, I'm just going to show a little bit here. I can always save this mixture and freeze it. Whatever I want to do, I just... So you're going to take 1 cup. That's not really a cup right in here, but like I said, if you're going to do just 2 little pork chops, then go with just 1 celery stalk. So it's 1 cup of celery, and then I'm going to do 1 cup of onion. So I grabbed the smallest onion I had over there. Remember, take off the outer skin, good portion of it, and we're going to dice this up. Now this recipe calls for some spices, yes, and if you don't have any that are fresh like I do out of my greenhouse, which a couple of them I don't right now, so I am going to use my dried herbs, and that's fine. That's fine. So I'm just kind of eyeballing this for the 2 pork chops, but again, 1 cup of celery chopped up, 1 cup of onion. Probably won't use all of that onion. I don't need that much for 2 pork chops. Take that to begin with. Stick them all in there. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is a little garlic. Now, it's up to you how much garlic that you like. I like just a little bit. If husband was home, he would eat quite a bit. For this recipe, they want you to have 2 garlic cloves, but I'm only going to take the 1, and I am going to put it through my little garlic press, just a little garlic press. You can mince it if you want to, that's fine, but this is plenty of garlic just for what I'm doing. Plenty, plenty. Okay, then the next thing you need is some salt and pepper in this particular recipe. So just, you know, put a little pinch or 2. Salt and the pepper. Get some of that in. Now we're going to start with the spices, and we need, so a half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper. Really, that's all that is. Now we're going to start with some spices. So I have parsley, I have sage, I have thyme, and I have fresh rosemary. So let's start with just the little parsley. And for the parsley, the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon. This is my dried parsley. So about 1 teaspoon of that. Which is this, it's just dry, and I'm just putting it in the bowl, dry like that. That's my parsley, and same with the sage. Sage you can cut up a little bit when it's dry like this. Cut this all up a little bit. And again, it's only 2 pork chops. So the sage, you would need 1 teaspoon for that. So a half a teaspoon, pardon me, my parsley. 1 teaspoon of the parsley, and the sage is 1 teaspoon also. Then we're going to go with the thyme here. And I don't need a whole lot of it. So let's just take this much of it. Some of my sage left over. And start peeling it down. Go the opposite direction of how you're peeling on your, see, this is what it looks like when it's fresh. It smells so good, it really does. Go the opposite direction when you're peeling the little leaves off. And these aren't dried, these are fresh right out of my greenhouse. So they're gonna taste really nice. Real, real nice. Some of them break off before you want them to, but that's okay. All down. And that's a good teaspoon right there. Stick that in there. Very, very good. Now we're going to take the rosemary. I stuck it in this water because I wanted it to stay fresh before I made the video, of course. And these, again, the opposite direction of tearing them off. This one I am gonna cut. Some of these are quite long, so I am gonna cut them up just a little bit on the rosemary. You can buy all this in your grocery store. You can. Go over there where it's the cold section of where the produce is, and they have the cutest little sacks, containers for herbs now. Never used to have all that, but they do now. And you'll be able to find your rosemary. You don't find any kind of herb, you really will. All ready for you. Okay, just cut that up just a little bit more. It's like I said, you want little pieces going in with this meat. You really do. Okay, that's probably pretty good on the rosemary. Hope everybody's having a good day today. I have been. I've been doing a lot of computer work. I told all of you that I'm starting a second cookbook, and I am. So I wanted to incorporate some really, really different recipes in my new one and add stories and my paintings and all of that. And I'm going to add all of that. Now you're going to take 1 egg, because you need some substance to hold all this together. So take the 1 egg and put in there. And then you're gonna need some breadcrumbs. Now, it's up to you on the breadcrumbs. So these are just the plain breadcrumbs that I get all the time in the can. There's also one that is an Italian breadcrumb, and if you like that for more seasonings, go ahead and get that one. If you don't have this in your house or your pantry, then you can certainly chop up some breadcrumbs, in a little food processor or whatever, and make your own. So on the breadcrumbs, it calls for 2 cups. I'm not going to put 2 cups in here because, again, only 2 little pork chops here, and that's all I need. So let's mix this up. Get it all mixed up. Make sure I have everything, the 1 egg, okay? Now again, if I had 4 to 6 pork chops, I'd be using a lot more of these ingredients. Go ahead and take some chicken broth. I have a little can here of chicken broth that I'm going to put in, and if you were making either 4 to 6 pork chops, then the chicken broth you would be putting in 1/2 cup. I'm not going to be putting 1/2 cup, probably, I don't know, 1/4 cup. You just want that breadcrumb mixture to stick together. That's all you're after, and some flavoring. You want flavoring in there. If you think you want just a little bit more breadcrumbs, add a little bit more in there. Yeah, add a little bit more. This is a simple little dinner that anybody could put together, and no fuss to it. So I'm going to take a pan. This is my little vintage pan. It even has a little chicken right here. I'm going to take this pan, which I like because of the top part. Now, these used to come in everybody's stove way back when. In the bottom part, it was a broiler pan, and you would, yes, broil any kind of meat on this particular little pan. My dish of this, I've had this for a long time, and it's been used for umpteen other things, but it's good to have a pan underneath it for any drippings. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to spray it lightly, very lightly with a little cooking spray. Now I want to start with my meat, and I want to just kind of open it up, and then take the middle here, stuff as much in there. Wow, I can really smell that garlic. Stuff as much in there, help it along a little bit. And if you don't want it all to come out, which it won't come out, it is going to pop open a little bit more. Then lots of times I just take a toothpick, a couple of them, maybe 2 or 3, and stick down in the meat just to hold it together, and that works too. That works too. So again, just take your stuffing, and you could add anything you want. This is really basic. I mean, if I wanted to, I could, this is more of a spicy one, but I could be adding slices of apples to this. I could be adding the dried cranberry to this. That's always good. Okay, so you've got them all just kind of stuck together like that. Then what we're going to do, this gets a little messy, but it's okay. Then take some olive oil. In my house, just kind of have the extra virgin olive oil. And I like to just take it in my hands, rub it together with my hands, and then coat both sides of the meat. Again, helping that along to stay in. And it'll come out, but it'll be all right. I'm not going to put the toothpicks in this time. I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. And then take some coarse pepper, which I like the peppercorns. And you take that and put on top of the... You won't need to, of the pork chops, I'll finish my sentence. You won't need to turn these, you really won't, with a pan that has air like this. Then take some salt, some coarse salt, and add that. And so that is now the pork chops. Okay, all nice that they're there. And you're going to stick that in your oven for a good 30 to 40 minutes. Again, depending on your oven, just kind of keep an eye on them. If you want to stick a little meat thermometer in there, as long as your meat thermometer reaches 145 for pork, they're going to be done. Everything's going to be fine. So that's the first thing that I'm going to put in the oven. And then, let me stick this in right quick. Okay, and then I'm going to take some corn. Not just any corn, but nice corn. I'm going to grab my cheese that I did forget in here. Okay, so with this, easy on this. Again, I'm not out grilling. I'm just going to take the corn on the cob, take the husks off of it. This is such a simple little meal. Really. Less than 40 minutes and you've got dinner done, which is nice. Especially if you've been working all day and you come home, you think, now what do I cook when I don't want to cook a whole bunch, but I want, a good little meal. This would be one of them. So I'm only going to do two of the pork chops, 2 of the corn on the cob. If you were doing for a big crowd, this is always a good meal for that too. Now you can season these up a lot, but this is not what this recipe is. This recipe is kind of one ingredient on this, well 2. And it tastes wonderful, it really does. So here's your corn. Grab you some soft butter. Take some foil. I will take 2 of the foil. Let me grab a pastry brush. You know me right now. I can't seem to remember certain things. I really can't. And I like to get the foil. This is some soft butter that I've had out. In fact, I'll just get it started here. And I like to kind of put some butter down on the foil. So get your pastry brush and put that down on the foil first. Big one over here. Save that. And then I'm going to take the corn and I'm going to put a lot of butter all on this corn. I wish my butter was just a little bit softer than this. I think because I put out a different brand of butter. And you can use salted or unsalted. If you like a lot of salt, or can have a lot of salt, then go ahead with a lot of salt. Get your salt and pepper back out. Try not to touch it and get too bad. and make sure that all sides are well coated with salt and with butter. Then, I could not find the block of Parmesan cheese anywhere. So I had to go with the ones that are already shredded in a little pan here, and that's okay. That's all right. And then you want to coat the chicken, and don't worry about it not sticking on there and all that. You can use the Parmesan cheese that is the shaker kind, but really, I think the fresh is so much better. I really do. So try to take that. Then take it, roll it up, roll it up. Now my meat's going to cook anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes. These aren't going to take that long. You can cook them between anywhere from 20 to 25. But if you want to go ahead and just put them with your meat, which lots of times that's just what I do. I just set it on the side pan of the meat, or you know, your side of your oven, and be done with it. You know, have it all cook in there at once, and it's fine. It's fine. You're not going to overcook the corn. So if you want to put it all in there together, go ahead and do it. And it said simple dinner tonight. Oh my gosh. And yet one that's tasty. One that's very, very tasty. Sometimes if I don't want to use a pastry brush, I'll just take my hands and, you know, just lather it up, in other words, with all of the butter. Get a generous amount of butter on there. And again, take your salt. You can always put more salt and pepper on after it cooks, but I like to get it pretty coated when I'm doing this. Put the cheese on there, kind of roll it over, put some more cheese on there. It'll all stick, it really will. It'll be just fine. And again, just kind of roll it up like this, where it's tucked under, and I just barely do the ends. If you overdo it on the foil, it's harder, you know, to get open afterwards. So again, I'm going to stick this in the oven now, and once it's all done as far as cooking, then I'll bring it out and show you what this simple little dinner is going to be all about. But it's very tasty, it really is. So I'll be back in about 35, 40 minutes. Okay, my dinner is out of the oven. There it is right here. I've let it cool down. And what I'd like to show you now is that I'm going to put it on a platter. You can see the platter real well here. Try to get it over here where you can see it. And, okay, so the meat, again, some of it kind of falls out, but that's okay. That's all right. Get it all out here. On here nice. And then the corn on the cob, which is nice, with all that cheese. See how the cheese gets on it? That's kind of nice, isn't it? Yeah. This one on here. And then, just set this aside a minute. So, if you want to take some garnishments of your fresh herbs, again, you can always take nice fresh parsley and put that on your plate to jazz it up when you're serving it, you know, at the dinner table. You could put the parsley in the ingredients when you're cooking it. Yes, you can. Take some nice fresh basil, which I have here. Always stick that on your plate. Again, get some more of that. Get some more of that in there. So let me run over the recipe real quick for you. If you were doing 4 to 6 pork chops, which I only did 2, but if you were, you're going to do a cup of celery, a cup of onions, chop it all up, 2 garlic cloves, and half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper. Then take a half a teaspoon of your thyme. This is thyme right here, or dried thyme, and half a teaspoon of rosemary, and 1 teaspoonful of sage, and then a tablespoon of the parsley that you can put in there, or just have it garnished on the side. A half a cup of chicken broth, and 1 egg. Puts it all together, and your breadcrumbs, again, do them yourself or buy them in a can, however you want to do it. And then some olive oil to coat the outside with some fresh ground pepper and salt. Stick them in a 350-degree oven for 40 minutes. And then go on to your next of your vegetable, which will be the seasoned corn on the cob. And you can season them up however you want to. Like I said, this is very basic tonight, of just taking the corn on the cob, lathering it all up with some not melted, but soft butter, and put salt and pepper on it very generously, and then some Parmesan cheese, whether you have real Parmesan cheese of the fresh kind, or if you have just the shaker kind, whichever. Roll it up in some aluminum foil, stick it in the oven, about 20-25 minutes on that, or put it in at the same time you're doing your meat. It doesn't really matter. And then you have a nice little dinner of your stuffed pork chops and your corn on the cob that's seasoned well. I'm probably going to have a side dish of steamed rice with this, and that's my dinner tonight. Simple and easy. Barely 40 minutes and I'm done. And it's a good little dinner. It's not junk food or anything else. It's a good dinner. So I hope you're having a grand evening tonight. This is from my kitchen to yours. Go have a wonderful dinner tonight. You'll be glad you did. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.